I think it was like stripes. But then they just three-handed. Yeah, three-handed rope. But you can put them up in the little sleeve if you open. Or in a budget, then the next. Like go the line and then straight.
Okay, we'll take roll. Let's see. Autumn, Lillian, Alexandria, Ostara, Caleb, McKenna,
Here.
Addison,
Here.
Tyler, Ben, Natalie, Alistair, Maddox, Courtney,
Here.
Jillian, Lexi, Alan, Emery, Annabella, Avery,
Here.
Jocelyn, Phoenix, Oakland, Addison Harris, Brianna, Peyton, Logan, Chase, Levi, Aaron, Sonny, Dylan, Dawson, Miles, Bryce, Mullen, Tennyson. Okay. Right. Get started with Kahoot.
So much.
Talking on the phone is not distracted driving because you are still looking at the road. True, but you can still get a ticket. False or true. False. Good job.
How?
It is distracted driving. How far have you traveled if you look down at your phone for 1 second on the freeway? 20 feet, 9 feet, 50 feet, and 100 feet. 100 feet. Nice job. Probably tired when I made this. True or false? If I get in an accident while texting and driving, it is only going to affect me.
This is actually great. Wow.
Just trying to make sure you don't win. False. Nice job. True or false? I can text and drive because I am invincible. False. Nice job. What is the minimum fine for distracted driving in the state of Washington? 100, 136, 220, or 120? $136. Nice job. What percentage of accidents occurred because of distractions? 60, 20, 100, 40. 60. Nice job. True or false? Taking a drive to cool off is a good idea. False. Good job.
When is
True or false? Multitasking is a real thing. False. There's actually switch tasking. Are laws concerning distracted driving different for people at the ages of 16 and 17? Yes, they only talk on the phone. No, they're the same. Yes, they may use their phone however they like. Yes, no electronic devices may be sending or receiving data. So no electronic devices may be sending or receiving data.
I'm still.
What is driving dangerously distracted law? What is the driving dangerously distracted law? Primary offense for eating or drinking in the car. Secondary offense for looking at your phone. Primary offense for driving distracted. Secondary offense for driving distracted. There's a primary offense for driving distracted, so you can get pulled over if a cop sees you just sitting on the phone. So primary offense. Will inattentional blindness be on a test for class? No, yes, yes, no. Yes, it will. Make sure you know what that is. Inattentional blindness is driving distracted. What is inattentional blindness? Term for blind drivers, term for distracted driving, tunnel vision, paying attention to what's going on around you. Term for distracted driving. Make sure you know what that is. As a 17-year-old with an intermediate license, on the 3rd month of having your license, can you one swipe on your phone? Yes, because it's not a permit anymore. Yes, if it's only one swipe, not more. No, because it's an intermediate license. Or no, because I don't have a phone. So no, because it's an intermediate license. At 6 months you can. 3 months in though, you're part of that 6 month rule. Switch tasking is when you switch places with a passenger, when you focus on multiple things back and forth, when you're walking and breathing at the same time, when you must finish a project before starting another. When you focus on multiple things back and forth. About how far have you traveled on the freeway if you take 4 seconds to read a text? So you look at your phone for 4 seconds, 300 feet, 150 feet, 600 feet, or 400 feet. $400 just over a football field. Few more. If I can walk and text, I can drive and text. False or true? Let's see if you're paying attention. False. Nice job. Driving happy can also be a dangerous emotion. True or false? True. It can be. Couple more. If I notice the car in front swerving and I think they're distracted, I should speed up and try to pass them as quick as I can. Honk, flash my lights, and yell at them. Nothing, just continue as usual, or slow down and give them space. Slow down and give them space.
Yes.
That's one, true or false. I completed my homework from last night's class. Hopefully that's true for everybody. All right. So we are halfway through class. We're halfway through driver's ed. Nice job. You made it this far. Speaking of the homework, there's about 11, I think there's 11 people I'm missing it from. Make sure you do get that turned in as soon as you can. It would be silly not to pass driver's ed for that. Yeah. Okay. Make that 8 of you. Okay, so we're going to talk about sharing the roadway. When we're talking about sharing the roadway, who are we sharing the road with? Other drivers? Pedestrians, yep. They got, yep. Yeah, animals can be out there for sure. You got to watch for them. What's that say? Jillian, I'll send it to you after class. Logan, I'll have to check. Bikes, other people, buses, emergency vehicles, motorcycles, mopeds. What's that? Yeah. Yep. But everyone has the same right to be on the road as you do, right? So it's not just you. All right, so protecting pedestrians, we're going to start here. They're going to be at the most risk. That's why they always have the right of way. So we have crosswalks. That's going to help protect a pedestrian. So make sure when you're driving, you're looking at crosswalks. Intersections, you want to scan, look for pedestrians that might cross the street. Alleys and driveways are backing around the corner, so you have to back around the corner during your drive test. You're pretty much just pretending you're backing out of a driveway when you're doing that. And so you gotta make sure you come to a stop and look for anybody that could be crossing your driveway, crossing the street, on the sidewalk, somewhere you're backing. Business districts, so like shopping malls, Safeway, Walmart, something like that. Always look for pedestrians because they'll be walking to their car. A lot of times they'll be walking to it and have their head in their phone. So they won't even look up to see you. Residential areas, the speed limit should be 25. And when you're in neighborhoods, especially if it's a nice day out and there's no school, you probably want to be going closer to 20. But there's definitely going to be residents out there, kids, just other people, right? And then reduce visibility. So you got to remember that your first legal stop when you come to a stop sign is going to be at the stop line if it has one. If there's not a stop line, it's going to be the crosswalk. If there's not a crosswalk, it's the intersection. But just make sure you come to a complete stop first, and then you can creep forward. You're looking for pedestrians before you creep. And then you're going forward till you can see left and right. So pedestrians always have the right of way. Right? Just remember that. See a few of you ready, so I'll leave it up for just a sec. Okay. So responsibilities for pedestrians. So you want to make yourself visible, wear lighter clothes. If you're walking in the dark, you can use a flashlight on your phone, just so people see you because you don't want to get hit. Walk on the sidewalk. So they have sidewalks so that you're not in traffic. So if there is a sidewalk, that's where you want to walk on. Use crosswalks and traffic signals. So this is where you are supposed to cross. So that's where a lot of drivers are going to be looking for you to cross. Because they'll be looking at crosswalks, intersections there. Then always watch for oncoming traffic. So when you're walking on a road and say there's no sidewalk, do you think you want to be on the right side of the road or the left side? Any guesses? 50-50 shot. No sidewalk, walking on the road. Do you want to be on the right side or left? Open says left. So it is left. You want to walk on the left side because then you can see cars that are coming at you. If you're on the right side, they're coming from behind you. You won't, if they're coming towards you or drifting towards you, you wouldn't notice. So if you're on the left side and they're coming at you, if you had to jump out of the way, you could, right? Don't walk into traffic lanes from between parked cars. So this is going to be like a row of parked cars on the right side. You don't want to go in between them to go into the street. A lot of drivers won't expect you to be going in between cars. So they won't really be looking for you. Don't jaywalk. Jaywalking is one of those that you're not crossing the street where you should. So a lot of people won't be looking. You might surprise people or they might not be ready to slow down and stop for you. And then the last one is don't text and cross the street. We saw the video, I think it was yesterday, of people walking and texting and running into things. If you're going in the street and there's cars there, you want to make sure you're paying attention and you're focused so that you don't get hit. That all make sense? I'll leave this up for just a sec. All right, we need to go back, we can. So this is what it looks like when people get hit by cars. And that could be someone who's distracted. I noticed it's snowy on that one. They could have tried to stop, but it was just sliding, or they just didn't see him. Someone just not paying attention at all because they're on their phone. From that one, there's a dog here. So he ran away from the dog, went between the cars, got hit by that one. We'll just watch a few more. This is why it's important. Make sure you're paying attention, not looking at your phone. Watch for traffic. This is why you want to use intersections and crosswalks. So that's all we'll watch. But a lot of those, they probably got injured. Just make sure you're paying attention. I mean, it does happen. And if you're driving and something like that happens, you got to do everything you can to try to come to a stop. Most of those ones, it's not the driver's fault because the people they were crossing the street, weren't looking, not paying attention. They just kind of ran out. So you got to do everything you can as a driver, but most of those, it's not the driver's fault. So you got to be on the lookout for bicycles and mopeds. It's just one time that you don't pay attention could be the time that you actually hit one. So make sure you're focusing, paying attention. You want to scan as you drive. Look to the left and right, not stare at things, but just kind of scan, see if there's any bikes or anybody in a bike lane. It could be kids outside playing and the ball rolls out in front or something. But bicycles and mopeds have the same right to be on the road. If there's a bike lane, they should be in the bike lane. And a moped is just has motorized pedals, basically. That's all it means. But you have to respect them like you would another car. So always give bicyclists at least 3 feet of space when passing. If you can, I'd give them more, but then legally you have to give them at least 3 feet. When passing, make sure you're not just staring at them as you're passing them, because a lot of times what you stare at, you start drifting towards. So you can kind of see them in your peripherals as you go by them, but just don't stare at them when you're going by, because you're likely to drift towards them. But always give them at least 3 feet of space. And that will be on a test, so make sure you write it down. Has anybody here been to Amsterdam? No? I went there once, and they're a very bicycle friendly country. It seems like everyone there rides a bike. Like, there's a ton of them out there all the time. So the next video is going to show how they made their city more friendly for bicycles. So this is what they do.
The Netherlands is known as a cyclist's paradise. Its safety levels, one of the best in the world, are in staggering contrast with the US, where you're around 20 times more likely to be injured while riding a bike. In the Dutch capital, nearly half the working population commutes daily on over 500 kilometres of dedicated cycle paths. But the city only narrowly avoided being taken over by cars. Here's how Amsterdam put the brakes on cars to give bikes a chance. Following the Second World War, the mobility and affordability of cars started changing people's lives. Neighbourhoods around the world were being flattened to make way for busy highways.
Chicago is moving a city.
New York, striving to keep abreast of the ceaseless, teeming traffic.
Amsterdam wasn't going to be left behind. Streets, once considered public space in the Netherlands, were changing. Their new function was purely for traffic. The number of bikes in Amsterdam plummeted. Between 1960 and 1970, the number of cars in the country quadrupled, jamming the traditionally narrow streets. Engineers and city planners wanted to modernise Amsterdam to make it more car-friendly. They proposed ideas like filling in the famous canals with concrete, levelling historic neighbourhoods, and building expressways and monorails. This is what Amsterdam would have looked like in 2000 if the Das brothers had realised their futuristic vision. Unsurprisingly, there was opposition. Anarchist group Provo came up with the world's first bike and car sharing schemes. They didn't take off at the time, but the sentiment to keep Amsterdam light on cars was shared. Dutch road fatalities peaked in 1972. In response, protest groups like Stop de Kindermoord or Stop Murdering Children were organising blockades of areas with high accident rates to make their point. Then, in 1973, the oil crisis sent fuel prices skyward, prompting the Dutch government to ban motor vehicles for 1 day a week.
Reaction here to the Sunday motoring ban has been mixed. The unions and the hoteliers are angry and annoyed.
But the sales of bicycles started to rise. Pressure groups jumped at the opportunity to show citizens how Amsterdam could look without cars. The government took notice and in 1978 introduced the Traffic Circulation Plan to make Amsterdam less attractive to drivers. It called for the closure of certain streets to traffic, reduction in car parking spaces, and gave priority to cyclists and pedestrians. Amsterdam started embracing Voornef, or living streets, a concept that was already successful in reducing traffic casualties outside of the capital. The specially designed zones are landscaped to slow drivers down. Without sidewalks, drivers share the space with cyclists and pedestrians and have to move at walking pace. Making Amsterdam more bike-friendly was really about making the city less friendly for cars. Now, almost a quarter of the Dutch population cycles every day, with 75% of children cycling to secondary school. The number of cyclists on the road also makes it safer. Research shows a correlation between higher numbers of bikes and lower casualties among cyclists. If Amsterdam's story is anything to go by, there's not only safety, but also power in numbers. Just as important as cycling lanes and car controls is getting people on bikes in the first place.
All right. So I just wanted to show you that to show the way we do things aren't the only way. We don't have options for transit like a lot of places do, so we mostly use cars, but it's not the only way to get around. So how to share the road with cyclists. So this next video is going to give you some tips on how to share the road with them. But I think this video is from AAA. Just give some tips.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Shaw with AAA.
And I'm Andy Clark with the League of American Bicyclists.
And today, we're going to give you some tips about sharing the road. So Andy, what does sharing the road mean for bicyclists?
Well, bicyclists are legal drivers of vehicles with laws and regulations established for their use. Yet a lot of cyclists feel that they're not respected by motorists. So sharing the road means mutual respect, which can be promoted by public information, motorist education programs, and often by legal measures.
And that's why at AAA, we are so pleased to be working with the League on Share the Road messaging. Driving on roads requires care and courtesy, whether you're driving a car or a bike.
Bicyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as motorists, including the right to ride in the traffic lane. When a road is too narrow for cars and bikes to ride safely side by side, bicycles should take the travel lane, which means riding in or near the center of the lane.
So here are some tips for motorists. Stay alert. Avoid all distractions while driving. Yield to bicyclists when turning. In bad weather, give bicyclists extra passing room, just as you would other motorists. Make a visual check for bikes by checking mirrors and blind spots before entering or leaving a lane of traffic. Slow down and give at least 3 feet of clearing when passing. Reduce your speed when passing bikes, especially when the road is narrow. And never honk your horn at a bicyclist. It could cause them to swerve into traffic or off of the roadway and crash. Always check for bicyclists before opening your car door. And don't forget that children on bikes are often very unpredictable. Expect the unexpected. Now, Andy, how about some tips for bicyclists?
Well, bicyclists should ride on the roadway or shared pathways rather than on the sidewalks. Follow the same rules of the road as other roadway users, including riding in the same direction as traffic and following all the same traffic signs and signals. Signal all your turns. Wear a helmet every time you ride. Be visible, wearing bright colors during the day, reflective gear in low light conditions, and use head and tail lights when riding at night. Remember that respect is a two-way street. Show motorists the same courtesy you expect from them.
Those are all great tips. Remember, same rules, same rights.
Share the road, it could save a life.
All right. So it's really important you don't honk at bicyclists, like they said on there. You don't want to scare them. That could get them to turn the handlebars and hit a car, hit a parked car. They might fall and hit their head. So just make sure you don't honk at them. You don't want to scare them. And then make sure you wear your helmet if you're riding a bike. There are more injuries on like head injuries riding a bike than there is in playing football. And then the last one, like I said, be aware of kids. Kids are not predictable in how they ride. They don't have the same sense of traffic awareness. So they'll just go out in front of you or in front of traffic. So just make sure you watch out for kids also. Then you want to look behind you. So if you're parked on the side of the road, check your mirrors over your shoulder before you open your door. You want to look, see what's going on behind you. Right into the door. Going to show it again. Watch his head. Watch how hard his head hits the ground. So if he didn't have a helmet on, that would have been a whole lot worse. He would have had a lot more injuries. This one, it was just a shoulder, thankfully, but the big one to watch, like I said, is how hard his head hit the ground from doing that. And that's why you want to make sure you see what's behind you before you open your door. One of the first few classes, we talked about the Dutch reach, where you go to your door with your inside hand, so it makes you turn your body. By doing that, you can look behind you, see if someone's coming. So, definitely want to make sure no one's coming when you open your door. This video is on awareness. Focus on what's being asked, and let's see if you guys get it correct.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make?
Go!
The answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Any of you guys see it?
Go!
Yeah, this one here. So we can go back to the beginning.
This is an awareness test.
He was there at the very beginning.
How many passes does the team in white make?
Go!
It was. Any of you guys see that the first time? Good. So basically, it's just like driving. If you focus on one thing, there could be something completely obvious that you miss. So just remember you're scanning, not staring when you're driving, and just look for hazards. But that's a pretty good awareness test. Just so most people don't see it. They don't realize it's there because they're focusing on the passes that the team in white is making. Well, actually, yeah. So the guy that hit the door on the bike, if you saw his neck when he hit the door, it went straight across. It'd be very painful for sure. Go ahead. So bicycles and mopeds. So don't hike at them or honk at them. Sorry. Never park or drive in a marked bicycle lane. So if it's a bike lane, it is for the bikes only, not for you, unless you're on a bike. Leave half a lane or 3 feet of space. So make sure you give them at least 3 feet of space. Most lanes are 6 feet wide. And that's why it says half a lane. Check your mirrors and your blind spot before turning over a bike lane. We'll go over that in the next couple slides. But like if you're making a right-hand turn and there's a bike lane there, we'll talk about how to do that. And then check your mirrors before opening your door when parked on the side of the road. You don't want to be like the guy that got hit or the one that's opening the door for the guy to get hit. If there's multiple lanes on a road and you see a bicyclist on on the right lane, if you can, get over to the left lane. Just give them space, because if you hit a bicyclist, it's going to cause them a lot more of an injury than it would for you. This up for just a sec. General rules for bicyclists. You guys good? Okay. So turning across a bike lane. So a lot of bike lanes like this one here, at an intersection, it's gonna get to where it's dash lines instead of a solid line. That's letting the bicyclist know that a car can move over there. Anywhere you see a dash line where it's a bicycle lane is where cars are gonna cross over. So what you don't want to do is go in front and make this turn like that. You want to move over into the bike lane where it has the dash lines. And the cyclists should be, if they're coming up, out to the left around you. That's how it should go. This next video will show you the right-of-way rules for bikes. But if you do this right, if you don't do this right on your drive test, it'll go across a bike lane and you come in front of it and not over the dash, you'll lose 6%. It's worth 6 points. So just make sure you know that. And this will kind of go over that a little more.
Hey, I live in downtown Toronto, and like a lot of people, I ride a bicycle and I also drive a car. So I see the frustration on our streets from both perspectives. Let's face it, there's a lot of anger and blame between people riding bikes and people driving cars in our city, and it's probably the same in a lot of other places. For the safety of everyone on the road, things like the design of our streets and intersections are really important. But I also wonder what role our own actions and attitudes play. So, depending on who you ask, the problem is either those jerks riding bikes or the other jerks driving cars. Now, I don't actually think our city's full of jerks, but the truth is we can all act like jerks sometimes when we're on the road. It's easy to think we never do anything wrong ourselves, but we all know that's not entirely true. I mean, whether we're driving a car or riding a bike, do any of us always come to a full stop at every stop sign? Okay, maybe we can all agree that there are some small allowances for bending the rules, but it's frustrating when we see other people totally disregard them, and that might be fueling the hostile relationship between people driving cars and riding bikes. If we're doing dumb things on our bikes, drivers may be less likely to respect our rights. And if we're driving too fast or distracted by our phones, it can evoke a really angry response from bikers. Remember, people driving their cars aren't the ones killed in collisions with people on bikes. This ongoing hostility only makes navigating traffic more stressful and dangerous for everyone. Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, talks to the idea that little things can make a big difference. So what do you think would happen if all of us, people on bikes and in cars alike, try to obey the rules of the road more instead of just blaming everyone else? Think we might even look out for each other a bit more when we're on the roads? When it comes to bike lanes, many of us probably don't even know the rules of the road in the first place. So here's a few of the big ones that we're likely to encounter every day. Let's start with right-hand turns. This applies to regular intersections with no bike lane, as well as those with a bike lane that has a broken white line. When a car is turning right and a bike is going straight, if the car is well ahead of the bike and already started their turn, bikes should be going around on the left side of the car. Even if the car is stopped to let pedestrians cross, bikes should not be going straight through to the right of the car. And if the bike is turning right as well, they're supposed to wait patiently behind the right turning car, acting like any other vehicle on the road. In the same scenario, if there's a solid white bike lane, cars should yield to bikes, only turning when it's safe and they can fully complete the turn. This means not turning part of the way across the solid white line and waiting for pedestrians while blocking the bike lane. Now, when riding your bike and turning left, believe it or not, you can't just ride through the crosswalk with pedestrians. One good option is to get off your bike and walk it through the crosswalk. But when you're on the road, you're supposed to turn left with traffic using the far left or turning lane. The challenge is, this can be pretty intimidating on busy streets. Personally, I prefer the Copenhagen left. This is where you ride straight through the intersection, hop off your bike, and walk it around to join the bikes on the far side waiting for the light to change. And finally, communicating while on the road makes a huge difference and applies to both people on bikes and in cars. If the people around you know what you intend to do, it's far easier for them to act accordingly. Bike riders can use the traditional hand signals or clearly point which way they're going with an outstretched arm. And when driving, using your turn signals well before making a turn helps everyone on the road. So, most people driving cars do their best to look out for the people riding bikes around them. And most people riding bikes are just trying to get around the city safely. We all make mistakes sometimes, but how about a thumbs up or a wave once in a while for all the great people doing the right thing on our roads? No one wants to hurt anybody, and we're all in this together. So take a deep breath, keep your eyes on the road, and let's keep everyone safe. Thanks for listening.
Good. So that is the right-of-way rules with a bicycle. If you notice here, like in this one to turn right, you have the dashed lines here. Anytime there's dashed lines is where a car can go across. The solid white line, it can't. So this one here is telling the bicyclist that the car could be going across right here to go to the right. Just like you said, make sure you're using your signals, let the bikes know what you're doing. And this is where legally you're allowed to go across. Some of the bike lanes we have here, as you go across like some of the streets, you'll see it do the dash line like this, but they're pretty good at making it dash where cars can go across. So if you turn it right, you want to make sure you check your mirrors, and then over your shoulder, look for bikes. Around here, there's a lot of e-bikes, and those things move pretty quick. And so you do have to watch for that as you're slowing down if they're coming up on your right. And if you're on the bike, you're gonna let the car go first. You're the most vulnerable being on a bicycle. If you get hit, it's gonna hurt you a lot more. So responsibilities for a bicyclist. So ride predictable, ride as straight as you can. This is going to be, it's gonna help for other cars knowing what you're doing and not worrying about you turning right in front of them. Use your hand signals to indicate turns and stops, so you let other cars know where you're going. So if you turn left, it's just like with the cars, arms straight out, turning right, your arms up at a 90-degree angle, slower stopping, your arms down. And then a lot of bicyclists will just point where they're going. You want to ride in a single file line. That way you're not doubling up. And, if they have to have 3 feet when you go by them, if there's 2 right next to each other, that's a whole lane. That's 6 feet. Wear your helmet and other protective gear, help with brain injuries. So just like that last video where the guy ran to the door, his head hit the ground pretty hard. Not having a helmet on is going to make it a lot more of an injury. It'll make it worse for him. So just make sure you wear your helmets. And then as a bicyclist, you have to have a white headlight that's visible for at least 500 feet. That will be on a test, so make sure you write that down. It's also widespread. So you have to have a white headlight that's visible for at least 500 feet as a bicyclist. Does that all make sense? Move this up for just a minute. All right. Good. Okay. The motorcycles and scooters. They do need traction to accelerate and brake and turn. So you have to watch for gravel, leaves, potholes, anything on the ground. Even if it's just wet, it's going to be less traction. And so they need the traction to get moving and to come to a stop. Only occupies 3 feet of the lane, but they have a right to the entire lane. So it's kind of like a bicycle where they can stay on the right side, they can stay on the left side of the lane, but they get the right to the entire lane. You may be legally allowed to pass through a red light. So what happens is sometimes the bikes aren't heavy enough for the sensors. And so when you come to a red light, if you're the first one there and it's been a while and it hasn't changed when it should have, they are allowed to yield, basically. They're going to look left or right, make sure no one's coming, and they can go. And that's mostly just because they're not heavy enough. You'll see people that will get off their bike and go hit the crosswalk button on the side, so it changes the light. But they are legally allowed to go through a red light if they stop first and it's supposed to be their turn and they can't go. The brake light and headlights are always on. Should say the tail light, not the brake light. So when you see a motorcycle that's driving, you're always going to see its headlight. The headlight will always be on no matter what. And then the rear tail light here, so in the back, that'll always be on as well. When they hit the brakes, it'll get brighter. But they do that because they're harder to see. Is there anyone here that wants to ride a motorcycle at some point? Yeah. So just realize, that you're gonna be able to accelerate faster. You're gonna be able to brake faster. Lexi too, nice. So you want to give them more space, and then realize that you're harder to see if you're on a motorcycle because you're not taking up much room. It's harder for cars to see you because they can just do a quick check in their blind spot, not see you, and then move over. Then how to share the road with motorcycles. So the next video is going to give you some tips on how to share the road. I think it was made in Olympia, actually. Yep.
You have to get a separate license.
You do need a separate endorsement for a motorcycle. You have to go through a whole nother drive test. There's classes you can go through, but for them to give you the endorsement to ride it, you do have to pass another test.
What is wrong with you? Are you stupid?
Didn't see you, I'm so sorry.
You pulled right out in front of me. What, you didn't see that big bike with the bright headlights shining right at you?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, a lot of good that does me now. I can't believe this. I gotta show you some things, kid. And you need to listen. Listen good. Don't forget anything that I'm gonna say.
No, I won't. I won't forget.
I don't think we got much time. Get in. Trust me, kid. Just hit the gas and keep going left. Pull over in that spot. See those cars and trucks coming towards us down the road, kid? How fast are they going?
I don't know, maybe 35, 40 miles an hour?
Yeah, that's about right. Keep looking at the road, kid. Now, see that motorcycle way in the distance? How fast is that going?
I have no idea.
Keep looking.
I have no idea, it's hard to tell.
Exactly, kid. Exactly. That bike is much smaller than a car. You get me, buddy? Much smaller. Makes it tough to judge its speed and distance. You see where I'm going? Whenever you see that single headlight or two headlights close together, you have got to give it some extra space. Simple rule, kid. Look twice. Before you ever pull out, before you ever do anything around a bike, you have got to look twice.
Look twice. Got it.
All right, back out on the road, kid. Follow that bike. Give him a little breathing space. You see that taillight? How big is it?
Looks pretty small from here.
Exactly. And you know what else? Because those taillights are always on,
it's a heck of a lot harder to notice when they put on their brakes, especially in the daytime.
See what he did there? Moved his bike over so he can be seen by the car ahead of him. It's easy enough for a car to get lost in a blind spot, even easier for a motorcycle. That's why you have to be sure there's nobody there before you ever change lanes. Something tells me we don't have a lot of time left, kid. You're doing good. Might be hope for you yet. Take a left up at the next light. Big Bear! Wild Bill! Hey, buddy.
Nice ride, man. Why aren't you on your bike?
Big Bear! Wild Bill! Dog! Teaching the kid how to drive around bikes. See you later. Look at that! Bikes accelerate so much faster than cars, and they brake faster than most cars too, so don't ever get too close. We gotta get back. Motorcycles are vulnerable around any kind of car, kid. A little dent for you could be something horrible for us. Doesn't matter who's at fault, the rider always gets the worst of it.
I got it.
Serious injury or even death.
I got it. Seriously. I got it, Big Bear.
Call me Randy, kid.
Randy? Big Bear fits you better. Your name's Randy, huh?
Since the day I was born. Since the day I was born. You got a name, kid?
Ian. It's Ian.
Ian. You're all right, Ian. Makes this all the harder.
Don't go back to your bike, Big Bear.
Got to. You need to get in your car. Now.
Just stay. We can change what's...
Don't work that way, kid. Ian, remember, look.
Look twice. I got it.
No! Randy, no! Randy!
Everybody makes mistakes, but mistakes like Ian made happen way too often. Even a simple mistake that causes a dent to a car can kill a rider. We need your help making our road safer for motorcyclists.
I'm a mom and I'm a rider. I train on the racetrack to improve my skills so I can be safer on the street and get home to my family. Thanks for watching this video, and thanks for watching out for me and doing your part to help me get home safely.
Hey guys, whether 2 wheels or 4, training is everything. Gives us the skills to be safer out on the street. You know, inside your car is somebody's son or daughter. Under our helmets are somebody's brother, sister, friend, or daddy and daddy. We all have a lot of choices to make out there on the roads. So train hard, drive well, and please, for Randy and Ian's sake, for your sake, and for ours, make your choices good ones. Thanks.
All right. So one of the big takeaways, make sure you look twice. That's why whenever you're turning left or right at an intersection, you look left, right, and then left again. We look left twice because that's the first lane that you go into. So just make sure you check left, right, and then left again. And then a lot of times with bikes, you can hear the exhaust. They're louder than cars. So if you happen to hear one, just kind of look around, make sure you know where they're at. So we'll watch a few of these, but here's some motorcycle accidents and what they look like. We won't watch them all though.
Пиздец.
Pretty hard impact.
Российской Федерации европейский Дмитрий Шляхтин. По его словам, это связано с тем, что фамилия Клишиной могла присутствовать в списке председателя независимой комиссии ВАДА Ричарда Макфарлана. И российские волейболисты обыграли команду Сербии.
A couple more. So very similar to like with pedestrians who got hit. The people in the car, more than likely they didn't get injured at all. But it's going to be the person on the bike or in the pedestrian where they got hit. People on the bus. So school bus hit a kid on a bike. Yeah, that's horrible. Hopefully the kid's okay. But But yeah, so you got to watch, like I said, people on bikes. You got to watch motorcycles. You got to watch just people walking, especially because they're not in a car where it's safer for them. They're directly going to get injured. We'll go through one more. So this happened in Tumwater. It's only like a minute long, but it'll give you, so there's this video and then the next one will give you the perspective of the rider. This one's pretty long. This guy over here. Waiting for traffic to pass and get by, and then he ends up going in the fast lane over here. Passing lane. Like he ended up on the trunk of the car, especially on the freeway, because you can get, on the ground, you can get ran over by another car or truck. We'll watch. He had a camera on his motorcycle, so we can watch that perspective. That's the truck that it showed the last video from.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
So that's what happened there. Do you guys think that emotion played into that? Absolutely. He wasn't happy that the car that passed him on the left almost hit him. And so that's when he put his head down and sped up really fast. Because he did that is why he couldn't stop fast enough when that car slowed down, and he ended up hitting it from the back. Like I said, he got lucky that he ended up on the trunk, or if he fell on the ground, he could have got hit by another car or something like that. But always be extra cautious around motorcycles. Like I said, they do accelerate faster and they brake faster, but they are harder to see because they have a small brake light. And then, like we were talking about before, always look twice. All right, we will take a break and we will be back at 7:26. So break until 7:26.
And then I know that what's so sad last year. I coach for you. Like, no, just running some. Should take violence and violence. It's.
Okay, we'll take roll. Quincy. Autumn. Lillian. Alexandria. Nostara. Caleb. McKenna. This is Howard. Ben. Natalie. Alistair. Courtney. Jillian. Lexi. Emery. Annabella. Annabella, you here? Avery. Jocelyn. Phoenix. Oakland. Addison Harris. Brianna. Peyton. Logan. It's on early. Chase. Levi. Aaron. Sonny. Dylan. Dawson. Miles. Miles, you here? No. Bryce. Mullen. Tennyson. Annabella, were you able to make it on? There we go. Yep. Yeah, I saw it. I said your name, and didn't say anything by sliding. All right. Now we're going to talk about trucks. They're probably the most important vehicles on the roadway. They're responsible for like your food, your clothes, just everything we buy. You know, it helps. It's what makes our society function, really. They can be dangerous if you're not driving around them properly. They do have bigger blind spots, as you can see here. They're called the no zone. So make sure you know that's the no zone. That will come up later. If you're passing, you'll pass them on the left side, not the right side. Their blind spot where the no zone is on the right is much bigger than it is on the left, and they can see better on the left. So unlike a car, how we just have it left and right for blind spots, they also have one in front because they're so tall, they can't see directly in front of them, and then behind the trailer. They can't see what's real close to them. So make sure you're not in the no zone, you're not just hanging out there. If you're going to pass them on the left. And what general rule is if you are behind them and you can't see their driver's side mirror, they're not going to be able to see you. Just make sure you are where you can see their mirror. So when you're passing a semi-truck, make sure you can see at least one of their headlights in your rear view mirror before moving back to your lane or moving over your lane. So that's talking about in the middle mirror. So the one inside the top. So if you're passing one, make sure you see at least one of their headlights in that middle mirror before you start moving back over. You want to accelerate past them. You do want to speed up. You don't want to linger in the no zone. And like I said, if you're behind them and you can't see their driver's side mirror, they can't see you. So you need to have a bigger following distance behind them until you go to pass them. So where will you mainly see semi-trucks? You'll see them all over, but where's the main place? Yep, the highway. So on the freeway, on the highways for sure. So just make sure passing them, you see one headlight in your rearview mirror, the inside. You'll see them on the highways. Don't accelerate, or you want to accelerate past them as you go by and not to stay in the no zone. So no blind spots. So this is going to show you why you don't hang out in the no zone. We'll just watch this real quick. It's pretty short. There's the big semi truck. Right now he's in the nose zone. He's in the blind spot. Truck driver didn't realize he was there until he started to move. That's why you don't really want to stay next to him. Really, when he first came up, what you should do is probably take your foot off the gas and let the truck by.
I would have been
And if
so
you need
aggressive. I would
to,
laid on my horn and flipped him off. I didn't realize it was happening until
if you need to get around him, you can wait for him to go by, then you can move to the passing lane on his left and then go past him. But as soon as you got to where you're in the blind spot or the no zone, you should take your foot off and just let it by. Luckily, the semi truck saw the person after they started moving over. If they didn't, they would have kept going and got into a collision. If you're in a collision with a semi truck, the semi truck will win. They're bigger than you. You're going to take the brunt of the damage. So just don't hang out in the no zone. So the stopping distance on a truck, the faster they're going, the longer it's going to take to stop. But if you're going 40 miles an hour, for a car, it's going to be 124 feet total. But if you're in a semi truck, it's going to be 169 feet. So it's not too much different. It is quite a bit, but not a ton. But then you go like say 65, like you're on the freeway. As a car, it's going to take you 316 feet to stop on the dry road. In a semi truck going the same speed, it's going to be 525 feet. It's a difference of 209 feet. So if you're on the freeway, they need additional 209 feet to stop than a normal car. So you kind of want to respect them, give them plenty of space. Realize it's going to take them a lot longer to stop than it will for you. You might see the sign. It's on the back of semi trucks. If you see a truck with the right signal on, like it's shown here, this truck's turning right. They have to go pretty wide because of where the curb's at, so that the trailer doesn't hit it. So they do stick out. They go straight a ways before they start their turn. You don't want to come to the inside. They do have these on the back of semi trucks. This exact sign will be yellow, look just like this. Just to remind you, because they're going to leave room for you to get up there until they start their turn. So they're going to swing a little left before they turn to the right. And that's the only reason, so the trailer doesn't go on the curb. So right turns are a lot wider. Does that make sense? All right, so it's going to show right turns on semi truck. This is pretty much the method teaching them how to do it, and you'll see how far out they have to go into the road before they can start their turn.
All right, we're going to demonstrate a right turn. Now, when you're doing a right turn, what you're basing your turn on is the relationship of the trailer tires to wherever the bend of the turn starts. And in this case, you can see right there, there's a split in the cement. And that's about where the bend of the turn starts, right where that curb crack is. All right, so when I judge that the trailer tires are at that point, that's when I'm going to be turning the tractor wheels, and I'm going to try to maintain a 1 foot distance of those trailer tires to the curb all the way around the bend until I get to that section of the roadway over there. Okay, so we come up to the stop line, stop, so you see the line over the hood, and when it's clear to go, we commence our turn. So I go straight out. Now I'm watching in the mirrors over here. And when I see that the trailer seat was about 10 feet from the bend of the turn, I started turning the tractor tires, watching the convex mirror, maintain that 1 foot distance all the way around, as you see there. And we finish our turn in our lane. And that's how you do a right turn.
So that just shows you how far out he has to go before he can turn. He was all the way into the oncoming lane. And because of how close it is to the curb there is why they have to go out so far. So passing a truck, going to require more distance to pass a truck. When you do, you want to pass quickly. Don't hang out in the no zone. When you do pass them, you want to get it over with as quick as you can because they are quite a bit bigger, right? Smog back to your lane only once you can see at least one headlight in your rearview mirror. So smog being signal, mirror, over the shoulder, and go. Be prepared for water and mud to be thrown up if it's wet and there's water on the roadway. You just got to be ready to put on your windshield wiper because it's going to put a bunch of water up on your windshield. It's going to be hard to see. You might have noticed this driving around with your parents. If you're passing a semi truck, they throw up a lot of water. The wind turbulence caused by the truck can move you, but that just means that if there's wind moving left or right, the truck's going to block that wind. And then when you get past the truck, it's going to kind of move you over to the side because the wind's not being blocked anymore. Be extra careful during rain and snow. Don't pass in the snow. So just hang back. Semi trucks are extremely dangerous when they don't have traction. But in the rain, you just want to be extra careful. Maybe turn your wipers on before it even gets wet from water getting thrown up. And just pay attention to what's going on and make sure you focus. Because when you're doing that, like I said, it is a dangerous pass because of how heavy and how big those trucks are. When following, make sure to see the truck driver's side mirror. So when you're behind them, you want to see their driver's side mirror. Otherwise, they can't see you. So this truck that's in the back, if he can't see the mirror over here, this driver in the front truck won't be able to see it. And like I said, don't pass in the snow. Typically, you don't want to in the rain either unless you have to. But biggest thing is make sure before you get back in front of it, you can see its headlight in your mirror. And you want to make sure you smog. And then they take a lot longer to stop, especially if it's wet out. So don't hit your brakes real fast unless it's an emergency, because they're not going to be able to stop as fast as you. Leave this up for just a minute. Okay. So now we're going to talk about transit buses and buses. Very similar to a semi-truck. They have the same nose zones as a semi-truck would, and you're mostly going to see them in the city. Right? Not always, but mostly. They make frequent stops, people getting on and off. Even if it's a school bus, they make a lot of stops for kids to get on and off. So be aware that you're going to want to try to get by them when you can because of how much they stop. Be careful of the bus, of people entering and exiting the bus. So this could be for people, runners, bicycles. If you look on this bus here on the front right here, this will go down for someone with a bicycle. So when they get off, they're going to be stopped for a little bit longer so they can get their bike off. And sometimes people that get their bike will just go straight onto the street, and it's going to be hard for them to see because the bus is going to block their view. So just be careful whenever you're passing a bus. Just expect the unexpected. Look for, feet that might be up here you might be able to see that gives you a clue that someone might be coming out in front of it. But they really shouldn't be. Buses always have the right of way when re-entering traffic. It's the only time someone entering traffic has the right of way. They do that just because a lot of times they're on schedule too, right? And if they can't get back in traffic, they get behind. They also have a lot of people. So the only time that someone has a right of way entering traffic is going to be on a bus. So you do have to slow down for them, let them in if they got their blinker on. Other than that, that's the only time you'll see the right of way for someone getting into traffic. Okay. School buses. So on a 2-lane road, you must stop for a school bus when their red lights are flashing or when their stop sign is extended. So these red lights in the back, if they are flashing and or the stop sign's out with the lights on, you do have to stop. If it's 2 lanes of roads, that's just meaning 1 lane going with the bus, 1 lane going away from it. So it'd be oncoming. You do have to stop. There's 3 or more lanes, so 2 lanes go in the same direction or more. You may keep driving without stopping if you're in the lane going the opposite direction of your bus. If you are facing the same direction as the bus, no matter what, you have to stop. But if you are coming towards the bus, there's 3 or more lanes, you don't have to stop. You're going to want to slow down, pay attention, look for kids, but you're not legally required to stop. So when do you think you should proceed after the bus has let kids on and off? I think it's going to be when the stop sign is retracted, when the bus driver waves you on, or when all the children have left the roadway. So this bus here just stopped, let the kids out. Do you want to wait until the sign goes back? Do you want to wait until the bus driver waves you on, or when all the children have left the roadway? A, B, or C? What do you guys think? C? Anyone else? Anyone says C? All the kids are left, yep. So that's what it is. A lot of times the answers we get is when the stop sign's retracted, when they bring the sign in. But it is not. It's going to be when all the children have left the roadway. We want to make sure nobody's on there. Kids are not as predictable as adults. So you have to make sure you are watching for them because they might stop all of a sudden and turn and go back. They could drop their hat or something and have to go back for it. So anytime they have left the roadway, when all of them have left the roadway. So this will be about the rules for stopping with a school bus.
School buses have been a part of the morning and afternoon landscape for 5 generations of children. The most dangerous part of the ride is getting on and off the school bus. During the school year, over 4,000 reported motorists run through school bus lights and stop signs in Washington State. It is illegal to pass a stopped school bus when its red lights are flashing and the stop sign is out. The law also applies to school grounds, daycare centers, and other public areas. Nationally, more children are injured or killed outside a school bus every year than inside one. Most accidents have occurred during daylight hours and in clear weather. Buses will make frequent stops. It's the nature of their business. Little pedestrians can be preoccupied and may not be aware that their physical size limits their ability to be seen. We need your help to stop these violations. The last thing anyone wants is for our children to pay the price of indifference. Washington state law provides for the violation to be reported, investigated, and enforced without being witnessed by a law enforcement officer. School bus drivers have received training on how to be a good witness and properly fill out the violation form. The form is admissible in court because the information provided by drivers is certified to be true and correct. A first-time offense for illegally passing a school bus is $394. There are no verbal warnings. Officers will write citations. It is your responsibility to know when you can or cannot legally pass a school bus. Whenever you see the amber lights flashing on the front and back of the bus, be cautious and begin slowing down. It's about to stop on the roadway to load or unload students. Vehicles must stop for flashing red lights and the extended stop paddle in the following situations. On a 2-lane roadway, traffic in both directions must stop. If the roadway has 3 or more lanes, you must stop only if traveling in the same direction as the bus. One of the multiple lanes may be a 1- or 2-way left turn lane. You must stop when traveling in the same direction as a stopped bus when red lights are activated. Motorists must remain stopped until the red lights stop flashing and the stop sign is pulled in completely. Buses will sometimes move fully off the roadway to load or unload children. The bus will have its amber lights flashing. Traffic doesn't have to stop in either direction, whether on 2-lane or multiple lane roadways. The responsibility of our students' safety lies with everyone. The Washington State Patrol and Superintendent of Public Instruction place the highest priority on the safe transportation of school children. Remember, it's not just a violation, it's a life.
So that's the rules for the bus. We'll go over it a little bit more. So this would be a 2-lane road, 1 in each direction. Both lanes do have to stop. If there's 3 or more, so this would be 4 lanes here, only if you're going the same direction as the bus. If you're going the opposite direction, you just want to make sure you slow down and focus, pay attention. But you have to make sure that you don't have to stop. If you're going the same direction, you do. If there's a turning lane, if you're going the same direction as a bus, you have to stop. If you are going the opposite direction, you have to stop. So if you're in the turn lane going the opposite direction here, this is the only time there's 3 lanes, but the reason you have to stop here is you're only 1 lane over from the bus. If you are not in the shared turn lane and you're going the opposite direction down here, you don't have to stop. You just got to focus. So anytime you're going the same direction, you got to stop. If you're 1 lane over, you have to stop. If you are more than 1 lane over going the opposite direction, you don't have to. Now, if there's a median here, it's just going to be like a concrete median or grass or something. It's the same thing. You don't have to stop here. It is 2 lanes, but it's separated by a physical median. If you're going the same direction as the bus, you stop. Going away from it, you don't. Any questions on the school bus stuff? That will be on multiple tests, not just your class final, but that'll also be on your written test too. So just make sure you know 2 lanes, everybody stops, 3 or more. Only if you're going in the opposite direction can you not stop. Make sense? Okay. So emergency vehicles. Emergency vehicles may not follow traffic signs, speed limits, direction of traffic, and parking. So when they have their lights on, they're flashing, they can do whatever they need to for the emergency. You must yield the right of way to the emergency vehicles when their lights are flashing. You want to be predictable and just not continue to drive. You want to move to the side of the road. Pull over to the right side of the road or somewhere that allows safe passage of the emergency vehicle. And then do not follow within 500 feet of the emergency vehicle. So make sure you know that you can't be within 500 feet. So once it passes you, they have to be 500 feet in front of you before you can continue on. But yeah, this is a big one here. It's just, they're not going to follow the rules. If they need to go backwards on a one-way to get somebody or whatever emergency they're going to, that's what they're going to do. They are trained to slow down and watch for traffic, but make sure that, you know, they're going to go wrong ways. They're going to do whatever they need to. You just want to be predictable. So don't continue to drive, move to the side of the road. All right, so a couple videos here.
Time is the enemy in any emergency. You can help emergency responders get to the scene as quickly as possible by following the rules of the road. When an ambulance, police car, or fire truck is behind you with their lights and siren activated, clear the intersection. If driving on a road with 1 or 2 lanes, move your vehicle to the right side of the road. Remember to use your turn signal. If driving on a road with 3 or more lanes, clear the intersection and move your vehicle to the nearest side of the road. Remember to use your turn signal. When in the center lane, drive your vehicle to the right side of the road. Come to a complete stop and wait for the emergency vehicle to pass you. Shoulder check to make sure there are no more emergency vehicles or other drivers approaching before you continue driving. Be considerate of other drivers as you re-enter the traffic flow. Remember to use your turn signal. Keep at least 150 meters between your vehicle and the emergency vehicles that just passed you. Thanks for following the rules of the road and helping emergency responders get to the scene as
Got this one to watch also.
We got a first-hand view of people not following this law. For several days, ABC 17 sent cameras on board Columbia fire trucks as they responded to calls. Tonight in this special report, ABC 17's Christy Reeder shows the dangers caused by these disobeying drivers and why they aren't moving over.
On average, Columbia firefighters respond to more than 1 call every hour. Their average response time is just over 7 minutes from the time the 911 call is received. They're always looking to cut that time down. While firefighters have their routes mapped for across the city, they can't always account for traffic and how drivers will respond. You're going to see how difficult that can be from the footage we got off these GoPro cameras we put on these trucks.
It's already a stressful job. Racing to the scene of an emergency, drivers of these big fire trucks have to navigate tight turns, traffic, and you.
These cars are still moving.
they should have really slowed and stopped.
For 3 days, our cameras were rolling with the firefighters from Station 1 in downtown Columbia and Station 2 on West Worley. We caught a lot. We saw firefighters pulling up to the scene of a fire, smoke pouring from a home, and the issues they have to deal with on the way to calls like this. From a pedestrian trying to cross the street in front of a blaring truck to an intersection where drivers headed the opposite way were in the way. One car didn't even pull over for a couple of blocks, even as firefighters arrived at the destination. And keep in mind, in all these instances, the lights and sirens were on.
How often would you say it happens where a vehicle doesn't notice you're there for a while?
Pretty often, actually.
One reason emergency officials say maybe to blame for people not pulling over is that they simply can't hear the sirens. This day and age, cars are made better to block out the sound.
That, combined with other distractions like the radio, can make it hard to hear the sirens. We even used a decibel meter to see the difference being in a car can make. It read around 120 outside, inside the car around 80. And there's another factor people may not be pulling over.
Certainly a lot of people don't know what to do. They'll for example, want to pull to the left. They just want to get out of the way. There may be a little bit of panic that sets in.
I went out to quiz drivers to see if they know what to do in an emergency situation.
What would you do if you were at a red light and an emergency vehicle was coming up right behind you?
I've never been in that situation before. Probably, I don't know.
If you're at a busy intersection and you're in the middle of two cars and you have nowhere to pull over, you don't have to.
Like this example on College, the fire truck just went around into the opposite lane. Next question.
If you are coming down, a road like this, and they're not behind you, they're actually in the other lane, headed the other direction. Do you still pull over?
You don't need to.
Wrong. Frazier says always yield to the right no matter which way the truck is coming. This gives the driver of the fire truck more room to pass traffic. Another question that trips some people up, what do you do if you're at an intersection and the light is green?
Your inclination is to stop, and you should most of the time when an emergency vehicle is approaching. However, if you're in an intersection and the light is green, you have the right of way, and you're moving to get out of the way will allow that vehicle to pass, then you need to do that. So it's really kind of a judgment call.
This problem isn't just limited to Columbia. Checking in with firefighters in Jefferson City, they deal with it every day as well. Also, law enforcement faces the same issue. We told you it's the law to pull over and drivers can be ticketed, but issuing those tickets can be difficult.
Usually because of the priority nature of the incident, they're not really able to pull over the offending vehicle and address that issue right then and there. So it becomes very difficult to come back later and try and find that vehicle and the driver.
In some cases, emergency responders will take down a license plate, and after an emergency is dealt with, a ticket can be issued. Last year, Columbia Police issued 7 city charge citations for this issue and 10 state charge citations. Stats on crashes involving emergency vehicles were hard to find. I did come across this table from FEMA. Looking at firefighter injuries and non-fatal vehicular incidents, a large number were caused during a crash with a civilian vehicle. With the problem of people not pulling over so prevalent, the drivers of emergency vehicles have to stay on their toes.
We don't want anyone to do anything unsafe. It is really up to the driver of the emergency vehicle and finding safe alternate routes around traffic.
One suggestion fire officials have for drivers is cracking a window slightly to better hear sirens, especially in congested areas like downtown. Just one way to better hear those rushing to save lives.
There have been recent efforts to strengthen laws to prevent this problem.
All right, so basically you just want to go to the right side of the road and just kind of stay out of the way. Any questions on that? Sounds like most people don't know what to do when an emergency vehicle is coming. That is correct, and that's why we talk about it. You just want to get out of the way of it. So what to do if you get pulled over? The very first thing is do not freak out. Pull to the right side of the road as soon as you can safely do so. If you can, pull into a parking lot. That'll get you off the road. It'll keep you and the officer more safe. If it's nighttime, turn on the car interior light. This allows the police officer to see you better inside. They know that you're not really a threat, or you're not going to be doing something you shouldn't be doing. It just helps them, kind of puts them at ease a little bit. And then keep your hands visible on the wheel until they ask you for your license, registration, and insurance. So as soon as you get pulled over, you want to move to the right side of the road, roll your window down, turn the car off, and then keep your hands visible until they ask you for license, registration, and insurance. Make sure you know where your registration and insurance is at, somewhere you can easily access in the car. And then don't argue with the officer. It's not going to make things any better for you, so just don't do it. Even if you don't agree with it, it's going to make things a lot worse. So don't freak out. Pull to the right side of the road. When it's safe, if you can, pull into a parking lot. Turn on the inside of your interior light, and then roll your window down, turn the car off, and then keep your hands visible. Any questions on that? This will be a video on it. Allowable.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Julie Judson. Welcome to this edition of Good to Know. On any given day, you may encounter a Washington State Patrol trooper on a traffic stop. Today, I'd like to give you some information about why we do what we do, and then ask for your help so that every contact we have is as safe and professional as possible. Let's take a look. Why might you be stopped? Our troopers focus on the violations most known to cause serious injuries and deaths. Anytime you're contacted by a trooper, you can expect that the trooper is courteous and professional, and you'll be treated in a respectful manner. That you'll receive an explanation of why you were stopped. If you're issued a ticket, that it will be explained to you as well as your options for resolving it.
3 options here on the side. Choose what you want to do. Let the court know within 15 days. The address and the phone number is right down there on the bottom.
Otherwise, just mail it in or something?
You can if you'd like.
Okay.
That's one of the options right there.
Okay.
Anybody back here?
One challenge for our troopers is that they never know who they've stopped. You know you're not a criminal, but the trooper doesn't. Last year in the U.S., over 130 police officers were killed during traffic stops. Here's where it gets sticky. Some of the things police officers must do for their own safety can offend drivers who know they're not criminals. Here are some things you can do to let them know you're not a threat. As soon as you notice the emergency lights, pull your vehicle safely to the right and stop. Remain in your vehicle and let the officer come to you. This is also important for your safety. Your car provides protection should a passing vehicle strike your car or the troopers. Keep your hands easily observable on the steering wheel is a great place. Don't go digging in the glove box for your registration and proof of insurance until the officer asks for it. We know that some drivers do this to try and be helpful, and we appreciate their intent. But the officer doesn't know if you're digging for a registration or a gun. Being parked along the roadside is risky for you and us. If you feel you did not deserve the ticket, please don't extend the contact by arguing on the side of the road. Any argument you have may be brought before the local court.
All right, there you go. Have a safe night.
We expect our officers to make traffic stops in a manner that is safe, is tactically sound, and treat the public the way they would like to be treated in a like or similar situation. We hope that the majority of the encounters with the public, at the end of it, there's going to be a thank you, and there's going to be an appreciation for what the troopers do to improve safety upon the roadways and in our communities. In the rare situations where you as a violator feels like maybe you have some concerns or issues, we would encourage you to reach out to our supervisory team and have a conversation.
Here at the Academy, we don't just train on enforcement, we also train on education. Education changes behavior, thus making the roadways safer.
Just a warning today, sir. Please slow it down and drive safe. There's no such thing as a routine traffic stop. Although the tactics that we use may seem standoffish, please don't be offended. Always know that the contact that you have will be guided by our agency's motto, service with humility. And that's good to know.
That's what you want to do. You do. So how should you keep your documents? And what documents do you need when you're pulled over? So this is an example of an insurance card. On the insurance card, they're going to be looking at your name. They're going to look at the vehicle, make sure it's the correct vehicle, and then the expiration date. Make sure that it's still current. A good place to keep this is, in the glove box, center console. In Washington State, you are allowed to take a picture of this with your phone and just use that phone picture for documentation. So you don't necessarily have to keep it in the car as long as you have a picture and you know where that picture's at on your phone and you can get to it for them to see. But if you do keep it with like your registration, like I said, the glove box, center console, some people put it up on the visor. They're all good places to keep it. Then they're going to ask you for your registration. This, you cannot have just a picture on your phone. You have to have the physical copy with you in the car. They're going to make sure it matches up. The license plates are right, matches. You're going to have the expiration of it, the year of the car, just what the car is, the VIN number, just all the stuff that goes with your car. They're going to make sure you have that. Even like the paint color. Like if you change the color of your paint and you paint your car, you are supposed to go in to the DOL and get a new registration that shows the current color. That is something you're supposed to do. But this is something you want to keep, like I said before, in your visor, glove box, center console. You do have to have this in person if you do get pulled over. So they'll ask for your ID, they'll ask for your registration and your insurance. Respecting the environment. So this was required by the DOL. So they want you to buy a fuel efficient car, accelerate gently, brake gently, you'll get better gas mileage than if you're just constantly getting on it and stopping real fast. It'll help maintain fuel efficiency if you keep up with the maintenance of the car. So that's like changing the oil, transmission fluid, any of the stuff that's for maintenance. Using synthetic oil does last longer than just regular motor oil. Usually costs a little bit more, but it lasts longer. Bike, walk, or take public transportation when it's available. That's just so that not everybody's in a separate car, and it helps the environment out. That's pretty much it on that. So this is going to be about a law in Washington that people don't really like to follow. It's going to be talking about the passing lane.
Time now for Eyewitness News. Call 12 for action. It's a little-known law that many drivers wish more people knew about.
Driving too slow in the passing lane is against the law in just about every state. Consumer reporter Susan Hogan joins us now with the details.
Well, that's right. It wasn't long ago Call 12 for Action told you about a local man who got a ticket for going too slow in the fast lane. It created a huge buzz everywhere. Now we're following up and learning more states are cracking down on slowpokes.
Indiana is the latest state to begin penalizing drivers for holding up traffic in the left lane.
You know why I stopped you at all? Not a clue.
Clueless drivers across the country are getting pulled over, not for speeding.
You're familiar with the new slowpoke law that's out, right? No.
But for going too slow in the passing lane.
I would agree going 90 is more dangerous than going 50, but doing 50 does come with some concern and some consequences.
At least 38 states have laws in place to fine for lingering in the left lane. In 5 states, fines could be up to $1,000. 22 states classify the violation as a misdemeanor. In Rhode Island, the law says any vehicle proceeding at less than the normal speed of traffic shall be driven in the right-hand lane.
I think it's about time. People need to move over.
Enforcing the law in Rhode Island is largely up to the state troopers, although Hopkinton Police Chief recently pulled over and ticketed someone for driving too slow, an $85 fine in the state.
The law doesn't specify if you're going to the speed limit. It's basically if you're going less than the flow of traffic.
Now, a recent survey found slow driving in the left lane is the number 3 cause of road rage. Tailgating is number 2, and texting is right there at number 1. And if you have a consumer problem you need help solve.
So in Washington state, it is also a law. You can't just hang out in the passing lane. A lot of people do. It's one that a lot of us don't follow. But it is a passing lane, not the fast lane. You should only be in the far left lane if you are passing and then move back over. Does that make sense? Any questions? So stay on the left lane unless you're passing. Turning left, avoiding obstruction as well, not just on the freeway. But on side roads, just anywhere. You just want to stay on the right lane if there's more than one lane. Use the left lane to pass and then move back over. Any questions on that at all? I'm just gonna stay to the right. All right. So that's all I got for class tonight. If you're on Zoom, type here. And for you guys here, I will see you guys tomorrow.